Okay, camera rolling, sound rolling, and action. Hi, hello, welcome back to the Bodies Empowered podcast. I am your host, Megan Relamis. I am a dancer and a food and body image coach, activist, all that good stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. But welcome to season 2. I am so excited because I have been wanting to post and start doing this again for so long. And I really wanted to do a video aspect as well. So if you're watching this on video, hi, what's up? If you're just listening to my voice, also what's up? Thank you for being here. This is going to be, start of a new era, as we should say. I'm just super excited. So basically, what today is going to be for this episode is just kind of a rundown of, how this year has been so far, what I've been doing, what I've been going through, good and bad stuff, kind of an update on my social media, all that stuff, kind of what I want the rest of this year to look like and, everything moving forward. So, I guess, let's just get right into it. So I also am looking at my notes. So if you're watching this, I am looking at notes because that's what we are doing now. Let's start with how 2022 has been so far. Very interesting. As I'm recording this and when this will be posted, it'll be the end of June, which is mind-blowing to me that we are already over halfway done with this year. And I feel like we just got started. So, let's kind of just run it through. So basically, going back to January, I actually in December let's start back in December of 2021. I almost said 2019. Get with the times, Megan. So December 2021, I was working basically 2 full-time jobs, and my mental, physical, emotional health was just going down the drain. And it already had been, but because I was working so much, I was basically working 12-hour days, Monday through Saturday. So I was just completely drained. And I actually ended up quitting one of the jobs in, at least working in person, because it was just too much physical work for me. But I'm still doing my dance job currently. And so once that stopped, I was like, you know what? 2022, I need to get my health together. Not just my mental, but my physical, my emotional, my spiritual health, all of that needs to be fixed ASAP before I can move on and do anything else in my life. So after I had quit that job, I actually signed up with Goodwin Hope, which God bless her. And I'm also hoping to have her on the podcast, fingers crossed. But I listened to another podcast. If you are a returning listener, you know that I worked with Kara Carincefelli. She was also on the podcast. But while I was actually working at one of my jobs, I was listening to a podcast while getting some work done. And I came across the episode with Goodwin in it. And I didn't realize when it had been posted, but she was talking about her next group coaching program. And I was like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me see. And it was posted that same week. And I was like, okay, this is current. So I went to her page, followed her, did all the good stuff. And I immediately got on a discovery call, chatted about what I wanted to do, and I immediately signed up. I was like, this is everything I wanted and more. It could not have happened on the most perfect timing. And I've never done a group coaching program before, so it was definitely a new experience for myself. But it was definitely like the most amazing thing ever. And I understand why group coaching programs are so beneficial. Because yes, we got to do like a lot of one-on-one work together, but we also had group calls and we had like a group chat and everything. And it was just so magical, like is the only way I can really explain it. Like, and two of the other girls that were in the group actually live in the Bay Area as well. And both of them had just recently moved here. I'm born and raised here in the Bay Area. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I'm meeting these amazing women, and like they live in the Bay Area, and like we can all become friends and like all this crazy stuff. It was so good. And we still talk and chat to this day. It's amazing. But yeah, so basically the main thing that I was like trying to convey to Goodwin, which I eventually ended up saying, and I was like, this makes so much sense. Like my body just kind of like said it, and I was like, fuck, that makes so much sense as to why I'm here. Like the phrase that I kept referring to and ended up coming up with was coming home to myself. And what I meant by that is I feel like I have, especially last year, like I feel like I had distanced myself from myself. Like I had a physical body here, but like everything else had just like disappeared. Not here in the present moment in my body. It was just like I felt so disconnected from so many different parts of myself. And yeah, I was just so happy to have someone who understood what I was trying to convey. And Goodwin is just an amazing human being. I really hope to meet her in person one day and just like give her the biggest fucking hug, because she is, she's everything I want to be and more. And that's why obviously I wanted to work with her. So basically each like couple of weeks we went through a different like section, and there was like 5 different sections over a 3 months course time. Words are hard. In that 3-month period, we went over so many different topics, which again, I'm going to do a whole episode about everything in detail that I, learned and took away from that program. The one thing that also really intrigued me about her program was doing breath work. And I've heard of breath work before, but I didn't really know too much about it in general, but also like what it was and like how it's used in like healing and trauma and all this stuff. And the reason why I knew of it before is because Kara, that's how she knew Goodwin, is that they connected when they did a group coaching program for learning and being certified in like breath work and stuff. Anyway, tangent. Yeah, so I was like, okay, learning how to like get breath work in to your body and like actually having physical movement to move everything through, I was like, ooh, that actually might be like really good for me, because I hate just like sitting here and like having to think about everything and like process everything mentally, and I'm like, no, I need to move. I need to do something. And especially being a dancer, like being able to use music and like move through it was really, really helpful. So I'm very, very happy that the whole program worked out. The main things that I was really wanting to work towards was, of course, like reconnecting to myself. But lots of inner child work. I've never done inner child work before. And I was like, yeah, just give it to me. I was like, I just want to immerse myself into it. And so I'll probably go into it more in depth again in that other episode that I will be explaining all of this a little bit more. But when we did an exercise of taking a picture of ourselves, it could be physical or like on my phone. I used a physical one, and we were just like looking at it and kind of like not meditating on it, but just kind of like focusing in and like, just like talking to her. And I just looked at the photo before we even started doing anything, and I immediately started sobbing. I was like, fuck. I was like, oh no. Oh no, like what is gonna go down in this session? But honestly, it was so good, and I really appreciate like being able to be in a group of women who are also vulnerable enough to vulnerable enough to be open and explain and share their own experiences, and just not being afraid, which is really, really cool. So yeah, the inner child work was huge. And I still want to do more and dive deeper into it. But another thing was healing so much shit from my toxic relationship. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it in previous episodes. If not, I was basically in a 2.5-year long relationship of being with a narcissist. We love to see it. But like with a mental and emotional abuse, essentially. And like gaslighting and, all that stuff, trying to control me and, everything in between. So we initially broke up for the 4th time. I finally broke up with him in February of 2020. And of course that was literally like a month right before lockdown and everything. And of course didn't really think about, dating or doing anything, whatever. And then last year, right? Yeah, last year I started dating again. That relationship was great. But in the end it's just kind of phased out, which was fine. It happens. But I was like, oh, there's still a lot of like unhealed shit that I need to go through. So when I met with Goodwin, I was like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we got to talk about. So there was that. Within that as well, it was just basically me trying to be comfortable with myself again as my person in my physical body. And honestly, because of that relationship, that long-term relationship, I felt like I had lost every piece of me because he was, trying to make me into something that he wanted, and like I didn't really have any of my likes or dislikes and whatever. I just didn't know any definitive like facts about myself. And that was really scary. Like I did not like that. And I've always kind of felt like that, where I'm just like, yeah, I feel, pretty neutral about stuff. Or like, I have like things that I get really excited about, like whether it's musical theater, dance, whatever, like small things like that. But as a whole, I was like, I don't even know like my general self as a person. Like I had no idea. Like if someone would ask me a question, I'm like, I honestly don't know. I don't know what to say about myself. And that was when I knew. I was like, yeah, this needs to change like ASAP. So I was trying to, find all of that. And boundaries. Oof, listen, boundaries was and still is a huge thing that I am working on. Like how to set boundaries, and like being able to be comfortable talking about them, and setting them with people. And basically, yeah, just like, I guess with boundaries as well as like reparenting myself a lot. Because there's a lot of stuff that, I've just kind of like let myself, fall to the wayside. So it's like, no, I have to be not strict with myself, but be like, okay, listen, like you have to do this thing first in order to do this other thing. And yeah, etc. We'll talk about that again in another episode. This is just a rundown. So also within that program, I was going through a lot of mental health problems, meaning that I was just feeling all over the place. Like my depression had like spiked up again, and I was just not doing great. And again, she helped me with that and stuff. But another part of it was realizing that I think I have ADHD. And I'm still working currently on trying to at least see an ADHD specialist, and working with my psychiatrist and my doctor, It's still a process, but after doing my own like research and watching other people, like on YouTube, like How to ADHD has like really been helpful for me, not just in like my research and like trying to figure out things, but also in just how to figure out how to make my life easier for myself with all these different types of tendencies. But I had, during the pandemic, like very early on, I had heard of delayed sleep phase syndrome, which is basically like everyone's normal like time body clock or whatever, like internal clock, like everyone sleeps from like 10 to 6 or like, you know, like the normal 7 to 8 hours. Like you can wake up and you'll feel refreshed, you'll feel fine. But for me, I have always been, ever since I was little, to sleep in no matter what. Go to bed like 2, 3 in the morning, waking up until like noon, 1 p.m. Like I would just sleep for hours and I would still wake up feeling like absolute shit. And I was like, what is wrong with me? But when I first found out about that, again, thanks to TikTok, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like this is exactly what I am dealing with. And when it said it's primarily linked with, you know, people who have ADHD, I was like, listen, that sounds pretty accurate in my opinion for myself. So again, started doing more research, and started, again, TikTok has been really helpful. I've reached out a couple of times on a couple Facebook groups that I'm a part of that are like just like, you know, body image and like empowering based, you know, stuff like that. Just be like, hey, I think I have ADHD. I can't really tell, or like I can tell, but I'm not too sure. Obviously, I'm still going to, you know, go to my doctor or whatever. But a lot of women have also reached out being like, yeah, I think I have ADHD. And like, I've just been masking my entire life. And it's been really, really interesting learning about how ADHD goes undiagnosed in lots of women. They don't get diagnosed until like their 20s, 30s, sometimes even 40s and later. And of course that doesn't change, you know, anything because it's still a part of them. But for me, what's really been helpful is that like knowing that my life has felt quote unquote difficult for me to do like the basic functions, and like everyone else doesn't struggle with this. And it's just been really interesting to kind of be able to understand how my brain and my body works in this like phase versus like a quote unquote normal person. So yeah, I had this whole discovery while I was working with Goodwin, and it was just like, even though I couldn't get like major specific help that I wanted at the time, again, still working on it and it's fine, but she really helped me understand that like even if you don't get like an actual diagnosis or not, like you know this, you know yourself more than any doctor ever will. And it's like, yes, that is very true. I do know myself better inside and out than anyone in the entire world will. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I guess I can just, you know, even if I don't have a specific diagnosis or anything, like the tips and the hacks that I've been able to find have been super beneficial and have been helping me being able to focus more, get things done, and things like that has just been so helpful. And again, like I've been saying this entire video, or this entire podcast and video if you're watching, I'm going to do a more in-depth, like how I found out and like, you know, more in-depth stuff about this. This is just, again, an overall overview of what's been going down. And I know this podcast is getting long, but that's okay. I'm in a chatty mood right now, so it's fine. But we're almost there, I promise. So while working with Goodwin, she brought in a like special guest to do like a little workshop thing, or like seminar, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And the woman that she brought in, her name is Abby Sang. Also obsessed with her, and I know she's going to be on the podcast. I just don't know exactly when, but she will be. But she primarily works with people on their like menstrual cycles and like overall holistic nutrition and like health and wellness, and everything that she was talking about in that 1.5 hour like talk presentation, my mind was blown. My jaw had been dropped to the floor, and I was just taking notes like a mad woman. I was like, oh my god, this makes so much sense. This shit is fucking cool, and how have I not learned about this until now at 24 years old, that this is how my body works, this is how things actually work, and this is what you can do in order to not just improve your body and your health, but also to optimize it. I was like, this shit's insane. Like, how does no one know about this? And literally after that day, it was funny, I went to go follow her on Instagram, and I was actually already following her. I just didn't know about it because I ended up following a lot of people on Instagram. But yeah, it was just so funny. I immediately messaged her and I was like, hey, I had such a great time from Goodwin's program and everything, and I really want to know more about your one-on-one coaching program. So we hopped on, again, another discovery call, and it was instant fate. Obsessed with her, still obsessed with her. I like to consider her a friend now. And same thing, I cannot wait to meet her in person and give her a hug and just like live my best life with her. After working with Goodwin, I was like, okay, my mental and like emotional and spiritual health has gotten, lifted once again. And of course now it's just, doing a lot of the work on my own. But I was like, okay, my physical health is still really shit, and I want it to feel better. So that's when, again, I signed up with Abby. As soon as my program with Goodwin ended, I started working with Abby. And instantly, after our first full one-on-one call, I was like, my life has instantly improved and changed so much. It's absolutely insane that she knows so much. Like, it blows my mind. But basically, I ended up also doing a gut test, basically sending in a sample, and they like see what my gut microbiome is like and what foods are good for my gut, what foods are bad, and things like that, which I will get into on that episode as well. Was very interesting when we started working on like food and like things to start implementing more into my diet, because I immediately started going back into my disordered eating habits, which was really interesting because I was like, oh, this is fine. Like, we've worked on this. I mean, of course, we're still working on it, but like overall, it was pretty good. But then it easily just like snapped right back in. Like it was just yesterday that I was doing all of this with like restricting and the mindset of like, oh, if my meal's not perfect enough with balanced of everything, then why even bother to eat at all type of thing. And it was just really interesting that it happened, because I thought it wouldn't be an issue anymore, but apparently it is, and it was. But so far we've gotten, past that. But yeah, I am so excited to have Abby on the podcast because I'm just obsessed with her, but also I cannot thank her enough for how life-changing things have been for me. And after just like one small change, with like a supplement and like with my routine, I immediately felt so amazing. I was like, I even sent her a voice message. I was like, I didn't realize life could be this amazing and this easy because I was just so tired all the time, not in a great mood, like just feeling all of these different things. And I was like, this I'm sorry, this is how I could be living my life. Like, these past 24 years, I could have been living life like this, and I just didn't know it. So, even though, yes, it's annoying that, like, life previously has not been great physically for myself, I'm just happy now that I have the tools and things that I need moving forward to, you know, make my life so much better so I can actually have the energy and the time and the passion to do stuff that I really, really enjoy. Which leads me into my next thing about my love of like theater and performing and dance and all this stuff. And I'm going to do a whole separate episode about this, but I fell out of musical theater after graduation, and because of my ex, there's just a lot of stuff with that. And I miss it. And actually, as I'm recording this, yesterday, my sister and I went up to San Francisco to go see Hadestown, which I had no idea what that show was about. I just knew that I heard really good reviews, and like it won so many Tony Awards. And I was like, okay, obviously this is going to be good. And it was. Spoiler alert. I am obsessed. And before the show even started, I asked my sister, I was like, am I going to have a new hyperfixation ? And low-key, yeah, I have a new hyperfixation, so that's fun. But, yeah, ever since, like, the idea of, you know, adding play back into my life, like being able to play and just have fun, I'm like, there's so many things that I used to do just for fun because I enjoyed it, and now I don't anymore. Like, for example, guitar and piano, and I have a ukulele, which I haven't touched in 2 years since I bought it, and, you know, origami and, like, bullet journaling and, you know, just making content. Like, there's so much stuff, like, even this podcast, like, I love doing stuff like this, but I just wasn't making it a priority, and, you know, it's like, oh, it's fine, like, I don't have time, I don't have the energy, but now I do, and it's really exciting, and I'm really excited to start, you know, exploring, you know, having fun again, and rediscovering old hobbies that I used to enjoy, and, yeah, just, like, falling back in love with stuff that I used to do again, which is really exciting, and I'm definitely going to be, you know, making content around that. Now that we've recapped, what the first half of this year has looked like, what do I want the rest of this year to look like? Well, thanks for asking. So my goal is by the end of this year / beginning of next year, I want to move back to LA and pursue performing, acting, dancing, singing, musical theater, whatever comes my way. I really want to get back into it and like be a professional, you know, paid actor, paid dancer, and doing all that stuff. So that is my goal. Still working on it. It seems very distant, but I'm still doing my best to work on it. But in the meantime, I am just trying to enjoy life as much as possible. I want to get back into, again, content creating because it is very fun for me. I went on a couple trips already earlier this year, which have been amazing, and I haven't even edited any of those vlogs together. So those will also be coming. But yeah, just like, I fell back in love with reading. I've already read, how many? I've already read 3 books this year in the span of like 2 months. And that has never happened. I will read a book for a few months and then I will not pick up another book for another year or so. And it's just been really exciting. And of course, Book Talk and BookTube has a chokehold on me for sure. Oh my god. But even then, I was like, oh my god, this is really exciting that, because I do enjoy reading. I think it's great. I just never thought I had the attention span to do it. But now that my health has gotten better, I actually have the energy and a better attention span to pay attention and read books and actually thoroughly enjoy them, which is really cool. So yeah, I'm hoping to just keep dancing. I've been able to take more dance classes, starting at the end of last month. I started taking dance classes again, And, I want to create choreography and pieces and post them on YouTube and just create more dance content. But I've been so self-conscious about like choreographing stuff and putting stuff together because it looks a certain way in my head, but then when I do it, it doesn't look or feel how I want it to be. But I'm trying to, disconnect the outcome and not even worry about that and just have fun creating and have fun just moving my body and just like creating stuff from myself, not just from, copying someone. Even though I love taking class, do not get me wrong. I also just want to get better at being able to be confident in choreographing stuff on my own. So last thing, I don't know how long this episode is going to be, but if you're still here, thank you very much. But the last thing that I'm going to touch on for today is I'm going through a rebrand on my social media, my website, all this stuff. Between the rebrand, I'm also still debating whether I want to actually be a coach or not. That is a whole other subject to be continued. But overall, if you didn't know, if you were originally following me, my Instagram got hacked. So annoying. Been trying to get it back for about a month now, and no luck. Instagram is not very helpful. But it's fine. Honestly, like, I am still kind of upset about it because I did take a long time to work on that, and most of that was during the pandemic, and, it's a little sentimental to me. But I did end up making a new account because I was like, I'm not even going to bother trying to get this back anymore. It's too much. It's just a little too much for me. So I ended up getting a new account, which is the same handle, but with an extra underscore at the end of it. Thank God, because I was like, I do not want to have to change everything about my Instagram handle. So that was an easy switch. But as I've been posting again, I was like, I'm really excited to actually like be posting again because it's a brand new account. I can do whatever I want with it. And granted, even if I still had that old account, I could still do whatever I want with it. But it's just nice to have a completely brand new slate to work with, which is really cool. And so I'm very excited to do like a rebrand. I already am working on the rebranding of the podcast, like logo, cover art, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I am very excited with how things are going. I'm getting brand new color palette, brand new content stuff. Again, trying to rework my website, all the good stuff. And it's very exciting. I'm very happy with how things are going so far. And the reason why I chose to do a rebrand is because even though I love how my original like color scheme and like idea and layout of everything for Bodies Empowered started, and I still love it to this day, I just feel like me as a person from where that started to where I am now, over a little over 2 years from when I started all of that, I just feel like I am a different person now. And obviously, of course, I'm a different person now. It's been 2 fucking years. Obviously, I'm going to change. And I'm just like, that aesthetic does not fit the vibe for me right now. And that's okay. That's totally fine. And so doing this rebrand has actually gotten me excited about creating content again and just posting and creating stuff in general, which has been really exciting. So yeah, that is pretty much it. For today's episode. Thank you so much for either watching or listening. I hope all of this goes well. My first time doing a video with my podcast. So fingers crossed everything works out. But yeah, so next week, it's my birthday. So I'm gonna be doing a birthday episode. Just like reflecting on life and again kind of what's going on. Anyway, I think I'm going to do the cliche of like 25 things I've learned in 25 years. Just because, like, why not? I've never done one of those, and if it's cringy, I don't care. I am at the point where I just am trying not to care. Like, what other people think, I'm just like, it's 2022. We gotta just be doing our own stuff to make us happy, you know? Whatever makes you happy, just do it, type of thing. But yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. But again, thank you so much for being here, for taking time out of your day to either watch this or listen to it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, everything will be posted every Tuesday. So if you are interested, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to watch any of this stuff, plus any of my other content that I'll be posting on there, which will be linked in the description of the podcast. Same thing with my Instagram and my TikTok, you know, and my website, all that good stuff. And yeah, subscribe to this podcast wherever these podcasts are casts. And yeah, I never really know how to end these, but I think that's good enough. You know, we're just chilling. We're just having a good time. We're vibing. It's fine. Anyway, I will catch y'all on the next one. Stay empowered, people.